Hello, Mr. Tony, you are welcome. I can see Tofik Ogunselu, you are welcome. Mr. Chigozi, welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning. Glad to have you here today.
Thank you.
President speaking, Shehu Kabir. Oh, Mr. Ashok. Mr. Ashok, you are welcome. It's Monica, you are welcome. Angela, CSP, you are all welcome.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Morning, everybody. So it's exactly 10 o'clock by my time, and this webinar was slated for 10 a.m. West African time. So and, though the numbers are quite not it's encouraging. I don't know if we can give an additional 2 minutes so we can allow other participants to join.
Yes, it's a good one. I think if we can just add.
Usually Saturdays in Nigeria, usually time to do house chores, try to organize ourselves in preparation for the next week. So please, can you, I crave your indulgence to give us an additional 2 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes, so that other participants can join. But please, just a mic check. Confirm you can hear me. Because I can hear a lot of voices on the background. I don't know if Mr. Tony.
We can hear you, boys.
Confirm
like,
you're on call.
Breaking, sort of. Don't know whether it's my net.
Facilitated this webinar this morning. My American Society of Safety Professionals.
And ask everybody to unmute most of the time.
Can you hear me? I think it's quite we have a network.
It's likely there is a general network issue. I can test to that to be clear about Godwin.
Yeah, but I can hear you, Mr. Shehu. Can you hear me?
Okay.
I just want to be sure.
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah.
All right.
Your line is improved.
All right.
You are breaking.
Okay, it has. Okay, but now it's okay, right, Mr. Festus?
Yes, it's okay now. Yes. Thank you.
All right. Just for backup, Mr. Festus, I'll put you as, I'll give you the rights. So in case I knock off, you can take the lead. Because I think we're having a very big network challenge around my area.
Okay. And
We have 20 persons on call already, quite a number. So I think it's good that we just go ahead and start, because this program is actually slated for 1 hour. Saturdays are usually days that we use in doing our house chores. Mondays to Fridays we're working. Use Saturdays to try and settle. Sundays we do our worship, and then we come back. Resume work on Mondays. So I think it's high time we start. Let me use this opportunity to say once again, welcome to the 4th webinar of our 2021-2022 calendar year of the American Society of Safety Professionals, the Nigerian chapter. My name is Victor Igwe. I'm the secretary of the chapter. And at this point in time, I would like to call on the president, President Shehu Kabiru, to give us the opening remark as we progress further. So please, Mr. Shehu, please, the floor is yours. Can you give us the opening remark, please? 2 minutes. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Sec. Good morning, my professional colleagues, and to all those that have joined. It is my pleasure to welcome our speaker for today's webinar in person of Mr. Tony Militello. And I will not just mention him without mentioning Mr. Tom Kramer for a wonderful effort he made to make sure that we actualize the dream of inviting professionals to present into Nigerian chapter. It was really remarkable, and we appreciate he has fulfilled his promise that one after the other, about 3 of the presenters have come to Nigerians, have joined Nigerians webinar. They presented to us, and it was remarkable. We really impacted much out of that webinars. It is really interesting. Today's webinar is construction safety, and you will all agree with me that Nigerians, we really needed that webinar, particularly when you go through the last 3 months with what have been happening in Nigeria, like in Lagos. All those things is very important that we have to pay attention to what Mr. Tony will present to us, and let's make use of it adequately. And I really appreciate each and every one of us, particularly my ESCO, that have made this actualize and very successful by God willing. Mr. Tony, you are all welcome, and each and every one of us, you are all welcome. Let's tap and get the knowledge. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you very much, my president. One thing I like about your presentation was a physical look, your cap. I really, Tony, too, would be interested to having your cap. I don't know how you can send. That your cap to us, so we can wear as well to look like you. Thank you once again, interested and quite exhilarating. Yeah, thank you so. Yeah, thank you. So that's just on a lighter note. We would just like to proceed further to why we are here, so we can learn as much as we can from Tony. Actually, I would just like to say that it's a rare privilege to have Mr. Tony Militello here with us. He's quite an astute and professional in environment, health, and safety. So it's quite a privilege to have you here, and I know that we will be learning a whole lot from your experience, and which will be helping us work better in our various areas of workplace. So Tony, definitely will be overwhelmed, but just to give you a bit of who we're having on call. Tony currently serves as the Executive Environment, Health and Safety Director, Commercial Delivery Operation and Total Quality Safety and Environment Compliance Lines, and proud to joining Boeing. I know network knocked me out. Hello, can anybody hear me?
Problem. Yeah, we can hear you, but it's just cutting. I'm having this challenge too.
Quite sorry about that. Just this situation of the country.
I can hear you now.
Okay, so I know I was all right. Thank you. I was going through Mr. Tony's brief profile. Where I think I stopped was Tony. Prior to joining Boeing, Tony completed a 25 years civil service career with the United States federal government. Most recently, serving as the Director of Occupational Safety and Health and Strategic Advisor on the staff of the Secretary of the Navy. Mr. Tony was also the community leader for over 1,200 safety and occupational health professionals on that platform. Mr. Tony has a Bachelor of Science and Masters of Engineering in Fire Protection Engineers and a Masters of Public Administration. Mr. Tony is a licensed professional engineer, certified safety professional, a certified quality engineer, and serves currently as the chair of the board of Certified Safety Professionals Foundation. Ladies and gentlemen, please, on this note, join me as I welcome Mr. Tony Militello for him to be talking to us on construction safety. Please welcome Mr. Tony. Over to you, please.
Great, thank you and good morning. I'm going to try and share my screen. Let's see if we can do this. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, I can see your screen, Mr. Tony.
Yeah. Great. Okay, well, good morning and thank you very much.
To get started, download the Google Home app on a phone or tablet.
Good morning, and thank you for allowing me this opportunity to talk to you this morning. Tom Kramer, as you mentioned, is a good friend of mine, and it was a great opportunity to be able to come and talk to you about construction safety. Much of the time that I was in the Navy with the United States Navy was helping with construction safety. So one of the things I'm going to talk about today include the beauty of construction, some of the construction tragedies that we've already talked about or that was already mentioned, some of the construction challenges that we see currently in Nigeria today, and some of the construction safety best practices that we see here in the United States, and some information that you may be able to take away to improve some of the safety challenges that you have in construction in Nigeria. And then we will have a chance for questions at the end. So this is a picture of where I live currently. I live in Seattle, Washington, which is in the far west, northwest corner of the United States. So the picture on the left is a picture from an airplane, a Boeing airplane, which is the factory that I work in to make those Boeing airplanes. And that is a landing in Seattle and the skyline of the Seattle and the associated water. As you can see, so much construction went into building that city. In the middle is a tower in the middle of Seattle, and it serves as a landmark for the city of Seattle. Again, another beautiful piece of construction. The picture on the right is the factory where the Boeing 737 airplanes are made. Here are a few more pictures of some cities that I enjoy. The top picture was New Year's Eve in Seattle, Washington. And again, a skyline full of beautiful buildings that women and men constructed over tens of years in the United States. The city on the bottom right is another favorite city of mine, Chicago, Illinois. And that city also has an over 100-year history of construction and beautiful buildings along its skyline. So what we can do in construction, the work that we put in, the people that work in construction industry, their work turns into some of these beautiful skylines and buildings. But obviously, not just in America. In Nigeria too, there's beautiful, tall skyscrapers, glass buildings, and other infrastructure that are built to show the people of the country the beauty of construction. Things that we build in construction stand for many years to come, such that our children and even our grandchildren can see the work that we've done. But construction, as you know, and was mentioned, is a hazardous occupation. It has many hazards, including falls, potential for electrical shock, potential for collapse of the building and people being crushed. And so that leads me to this. We have seen both in the United States, in the hotel up on the top left-hand corner, which was being constructed in New Orleans, Louisiana, and the construction fatalities that were experienced a few months ago in Nigeria, in the picture in the bottom right-hand corner. Again, in both cases, tremendous tragedies where many lives were lost unnecessarily. Recently, there was a paper written at the reference below in the Scientific Research Journal that talks about safety practices in Nigerian construction sites. Some of the challenges that were seen from the survey in construction in Nigeria include 5 of the following: a poor understanding of risks associated with the work, a shortage or absence of safety clothes and equipment, the impacts of unsafe behaviors of coworkers, the overconfidence in performing site work, and a lack of safety training of workers. Again, this was a paper published in February of 2019, so just a little over 3 years ago, and that paper can be found at the hyperlink and the reference provided on this slide. And these slides will be made available to the chapter for their reference and use. So how do we take care of combating some of those challenges that we see in construction? Those challenges are in construction not only in Nigeria, but we see those same challenges with construction in the United States. I work with the Associated General Contractors of America, which is a large organization made up of hundreds of construction contractors around the country. Every year, we gather together some of the best and most talented construction contractors from the United States, whether they are small contractors or large contractors, building schools or roads or electrical systems or high rises or other facilities. They come together every year to demonstrate why they are some of the best construction contractors in America. So one of the things that we've done every year is to develop a list of construction safety best practices. The practices that these companies have found result in a safe workplace and reduced injuries and illnesses. Again, on this slide, there's a reference to a website that has several documents that include a long list of construction safety best practices. This presentation will talk about some of them, but the extensive list will be included at that website. The 7 things that we found to be some of the most important contributions to construction safety were the following: senior management, ownership, and participation in the safety program, risk identification and analysis. So getting back to what was talked about earlier, which is the poor identification or awareness of risk. The task design, which includes engineering controls and design for safety, talking about how we design the specific jobs that each individual performs before they actually have to perform them. Safe work methods, meaning how we go about doing the work in a safe manner. Worker engagement, involvement, and participation, which talks about how each individual worker is involved in making sure that the work site is safe. Safety training and validation of training, meaning what training do we give employees and how do we make sure that the training that we give them is enough to make sure that they are safe on the job site. And finally, emergency response and crisis management, which means when there is an emergency, whether it is weather or created on the job site, how do we respond to make sure that everyone is safe? So it's my pleasure to talk through each of the individual sections and give a highlight of some of the things that these companies chose to do to make sure that their job sites were safe. In senior management, ownership, and participation, we saw senior managers and company presidents doing the following. They made sure that safety was part of every employee's evaluation. So we made sure that their pay or that their bonus or that their incentive was linked to how the company performed safely. Senior management, including company presidents, led and participated in safety training. The company president or vice president attended all mishap or incident reviews, regardless of the severity of the mishap. The president, in one case, a company president developed a video about his expectations for all employees on safety. And in one case for highway construction, the president purchased a large public billboard with a safety message asking traffic to drive safe. So this is an example of something that one of the company presidents did to make sure that his workers that were doing highway construction were safe. In each of these cases, the company presidents or vice presidents or senior members of the leadership of those companies made sure that the employees knew who they were, could see them, were recognized, and were actively involved in the construction process. The next area that we would like to talk about is risk identification and analysis. Again, one of the areas that was mentioned in the article that in Nigeria, risk identification may be a challenge. Some of the things we found to be best practices included an annual third-party safety program evaluation, meaning not the contractor themselves, but somebody from outside the contractor coming and evaluating the contractor's performance. An executive and project-based leadership participate in risk identification and reduction, meaning that the senior leaders, they too contribute to making sure that it's a safe workplace. One company had a risk register or a library that included all of the risk assessments for each of the projects, so that when new employees came to the work site, they were able to learn what the risks were for that construction site. Another company used a daily dashboard or information and graphs and charts to communicate real-time safety metrics based on leading indicators, which means every morning, the project leadership and the project teams were able to see this information regarding the safety of the project. Task design, which is really engineering controls and engineering design, we found several of the following to be best practices for these construction companies. In one case, one of the companies replaced the personal fall arrest systems with physical devices for vertical building construction with handrails. So instead of needing to put on a harness, they put in physical devices to separate the employees and the individuals from falling. Another company issued a new style head protection with chin straps. As some of you may know, in the United States, for many years, we have not used construction hard hats with chin straps. We have used an older style that relied on closing a band around the head to keep the helmet on secure and tight. Now with the issue of chin straps, it increases the chance that the hard hat will stay on. One of the things that is a big contributor to mishaps and accidents and property damage in the United States construction industry is company vehicles. So either dump trucks or other pieces of heavy equipment, they are a big source of construction industry incidents and damage. So with the use of technology placed on the equipment, we are able to know how fast the truck was traveling, if they had to brake suddenly, if their turns were too close or too tight, or other types of driving behaviors that either had in some cases have a camera inside the cab where the driver is located to make sure that the driver is not using a cellular phone or that the driver is not otherwise distracted. In one case, a company used prefabrication shop for the majority of its lighting fixtures and electrical supplies and support racks. This means that they did all the wiring and panel assembly and assembly of most of the parts of the project in a workshop or in a factory where it is well lit, it's indoors, it's dry, and it has all the things that people need to do the work safely instead of having it being done on a construction site. In many cases, excuse me, in many cases, that improves the quality of the construction project and the safety of the installation. One of the things that's important that we found to be a best practice was focusing on safe work methods, meaning the way in which employees perform their work. In one case, all the new hires for a company regardless of their experience, were given another person to work with or a veteran worker mentor, so that that new employee was teamed up with or paired with another worker so that they would be more familiar and learn all the safety requirements of a specific project. In another case, a company prohibited employees from lifting more than 50 pounds, or in that case, about 22 kilograms. So we want to make sure that we are preventing injuries to backs and muscles, and we limit the amount of weight that individuals can lift. In one case, an electrical contractor improved the energized work personal protective equipment by including arc flash gloves that are lighter and more comfortable. So it talked about in the article about Nigerian construction, the inability to access or the lack of access to personal protective equipment and clothing. And in some cases, we found that improved equipment and clothing made the job easier, and as a result, made the job much safer. Very similar to the risk register, one of the companies include a bank or a library of more than 100 standard work practices for some of the most common tasks, which means it explained the most common activities that one could find on a construction site, so that the employees were expected to read those standard work practices prior to entering the job site, so that they knew exactly how to perform the work in the safest way possible. Another document or another form that we find to be helpful is an activity hazard analysis that must be submitted and accepted prior to the beginning of work. An activity hazard analysis is typically a form where the employee and the supervisor, or a series of employees and a group of supervisors, review a task or review a piece of work and analyze all the hazards associated with performing that work before the work is begun. They can identify what hazards there might be, what personal protective equipment or tools might be needed to keep the employees safe. And once they have determined all the required equipment and clothing that's required to keep the employees safe, only then can the work begin. We see this not only in the construction industry, but many other industries in the United States have an activity hazard analysis, or sometimes it's called a job hazard analysis or a task hazard analysis, but they're all the different names for essentially the same process, which is analyzing the hazards before the work begins. One of the things that we also found to be very successful as a best practice in the construction industry is worker engagement, involvement, and participation. Very much like I mentioned, the activity hazard analysis, when employees are engaged and participate in the safety program, they have an increased knowledge of the hazards and risks and safety measures necessary to keep them safe. One of the companies had a communication that goes out to the employees and the spouses in a weekly email. We find here in the United States, and I would imagine it might be a little bit similar in Nigeria, is that many times the construction industry has men working in the construction industry. They are doing heavy labor and hard work, and the communication that goes to the women who are their spouses, or they might be their mother or another female in their family, they pay more attention. they are then make sure that their husband or their brother or their son takes the necessary precautions at home and at work. So we have found that to be very helpful. Another company adopted a phone application where they're able to build a safety audit that allows the employees to attach pictures and document hazards. Many times our near miss program or a good catch program or identification of hazards is done on paper or is done by memory, and it has to be documented on a computer back in a construction trailer or back in an office. By developing the opportunity for someone to take a picture and fill out the information right at the hazard, we found that the information was more accurate and the information then was able to be fixed much faster. One company said that the safety is the first message that all the employees receive when they first arrive on site. So whether there is a poster at the entrance to the construction site, or where they enter the construction site and put their lunch, or whether they gather for their first meeting of the morning, we find that many construction companies start their day with a safety message. And finally, whether it's on a construction site or in an office, many companies start their safety item, start their meeting with safety as the first agenda item for every meeting. So whether it's talking about safety on the job site or safety at home or safety in the office, there's a small safety message that mentions how to keep employees and their loved ones safe. Safety training and validation of training, that again was mentioned in the article about some of the challenges with the construction industry in Nigeria, is safety training and the validation of that training. One of the things that we found, again, back to the phone applications, is that some companies use paper training certificates to document employee training. Those paper certificates can often be lost or hard to find. When the employee training certificates are accessed electronically, it becomes easier to know which employees have completed their required training. One other company developed and led micro training sessions, which is a training session that may be 1 to 3 to 5 minutes long, but talks in very short video clips about either safety mistakes or safety hazards or risks associated with the construction site. And they're often available to be viewed on a tablet or a computer or a mobile device. One company created a safety orientation video specifically for temporary labor. In the United States, in some areas, construction is not performed the entire year. It's only performed in a certain months of the year, like the summertime. So the labor force may only be temporary and work 2 or 3 or 4 months on a construction site and not be fully aware of the hazards associated with construction. This company created a video specifically to remind those temporary workers of the hazards of construction. Craft employees, so those are the people that do plumbing and carpentry and woodworking and welding and other types of manual crafts. Those in one company made sure that their employees received an average of 42 hours of safety training per year per person. So that's almost an entire week of training just to make sure that they continue to have the most up-to-date safety information for the job that they're performing. Finally, one other company used a mobile app to provide access to all safety materials. So that included training, necessary documents, and necessary information to keep the employees safe on a construction job site. All right, I'm just going to pause real quick just to read through the chat real quick here. So we've got training video slides. Yep. So I will I forward this out to Dr. Oji already, but I will, after we are done here, I'll make sure that all this information, all the slides and all the documents that I'm referencing, I'll make sure that those are all made available so that the individuals can use them at their leisure. All right. Let's see here. Finally, one of the things I wanted to talk about was the emergency response and crisis management. Again, in many parts of the country, we don't expect emergencies, but it's important to make sure that we are planning for them before they occur. Sometimes emergencies can be weather, like rain or wind or hurricanes or tornadoes. We have snow, we have areas where there are earthquakes and other types of natural events like wildfires. And we want to make sure that we are preparing for those in the case of emergency. One of the things that's important is to make sure that the crisis management plan or the emergency plan is written down so that people know what are the policies and procedures to follow in the case of an emergency. One company said that each of their projects has a specific emergency plan, not just one that's general for every project. We find that by having a specific emergency safety plan, that the employees know where to go and how to evacuate in the case of emergency. One company provided each employee a wallet-sized card or a small card that they can put in their pocket that included information about what to do in the case of an emergency. One company made sure that all of their managers were trained in emergency and crisis management, and they were required to complete an interactive training course. Finally, one company made sure that their crisis management completed tabletop drills, which means drills around a conference table to talk about what to do in the event of an emergency. Many times a company will have an emergency response plan, but they will not practice or know what the individual steps of that emergency plan include. So that when they are trying to use the plan in an actual emergency, they realize that some of the information may not be useful, or some of the information may be inaccurate or incomplete. Go to the chat here. So there is the YouTube and that. All right. So that is a little bit of a summary of the things that we found to be some of the best practices to deal with construction safety here in the United States. We are right about at, let's see here. We are right about at the time of 30 minutes. So we are pretty close to what the agenda showed for this presentation. And with that, I would be happy to answer any questions. So I'm gonna try and do the best I can here. You can either put a question in the chat. I see Fetus has raised his hand, so you can use the raise hand function and then take yourself off mute. So I apologize if I pronounced the name wrong, but Festus, if you have a question, I'd be happy to answer. If you want to take, there you go.
Yeah, thank you very much. I really want to appreciate this great insight into this presentation, Tony. I've been in construction industry for some years too, and basically all these things that's being rolled out from your presentation are actually best practices. My question here actually goes to management of change, because oftentimes you agree with me that in construction, it's actually dynamic. And most times there's need for management of change. And we've seen that in a lot of cases, some of the incidents that actually present itself during construction activities has to do with the fact that the management of change procedure, even though it's available, are oftentimes not being made to use. So what is your take on this, and how best do you think this can actually be co-opted into construction industry to actually avert some of all these incidents that normally present itself? Thank you very much.
Yeah, that is a great question about the management of change. Many of the construction serious injuries or the fatalities that I saw when I was with the Navy were exactly that. They were work that was being performed not as expected, and the employees were unaware of the change. So that is an excellent question and a serious challenge. Some of the best practices that we have seen here in the United States to deal with the management of change have been the following. You saw, I talked about an activity hazard analysis. So it's important that those are completed every morning and make sure that, excuse me, that the job site is the work is being performed as people expect it to be performed. Some companies then will take a break when they come back from lunch to make sure that there is the same conditions as they went over in the morning. And other companies will also do a third meeting at the end of the workday to do two things: to make sure that they are prepared for the next day, but also to talk about whether or not what they experienced during the day is exactly as they planned. So some companies will have 3 meetings every day, and that is how they try to address the management of change. They talk about what they're going to do in the morning, they review it in the middle of the day around lunchtime, and then at the end of the day, they will look and see if what they expected to happen did happen and how they can plan for the next day if there's going to be any change. But that is an excellent question and a problem that we have too. And that is really one of the ways that we see companies with best practices is to make sure that they are evaluating the work plan more than one time a day.
Thank you very much, Tony.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Jehu, I see your hand raised. Also happy to entertain one of your questions.
Yes. Thank you, sir. My question here is with regard to construction and architectural designs, what differentiate the ancient building and that of the modern building in terms of safety and other related techniques? Thank you.
Yeah. That's a great question. You know, I showed some of the buildings in the pictures that I showed were new buildings from modern buildings. You can tell by my name, I think, that I am Italian. And so when I go and look at the Colosseum in Rome or some of the old buildings in Greece or in Northern Africa, those buildings have got a lot of manual labor. There's a lot of stones and a lot of concrete used in those. And I would imagine that those were not easy to construct and that those were probably not safe to construct. One of the things that we see in the United States, maybe over the last 100 years, even with wood or steel or concrete, that we have improved the construction safety methods. We have used either technology, we have done a variety of things to learn how to do some of that work safer. Now, your point is the other part of your question that we do see is, when with extremely high buildings or with buildings that have creative architecture those buildings may be very difficult to construct. They require individuals to work at heights. They also may be difficult to maintain after they have been constructed. So I think there's a little bit of both. Some of the old construction methods and old architecture required a lot of manual labor and a lot of heavy lifting, but people were creative. People, before there were powered cranes, people used ropes and pulleys and other ways to move all that type of equipment. And now we have ways to do that safer, but also the architectural design is also contributes to making that work done in a way that may be a little bit less safe. So that's why many companies continue to excuse me, focus on safety through design to do exactly what you talk about, which is get with the engineers and architects to make sure that when they're talking about building something, that it can be built in the safest way possible. So in some ways we have improved, but in other ways, when we want to be creative and design fancy tall buildings, we have sometimes improved or increased the risk and hazards to people. So we are in some ways better, but in some ways we are also more challenged than we were 2,000 years ago. I am going to go by the order that I saw these. So Yamu, I hope that Abdullah, let's say you are next. I saw your hand up.
Yeah, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Yes, sir. From your explanation concerning the work review on daily basis, you said some companies are review their job schedule 3 times daily, and I know that part of some management they were talking of man lost hour on the work. That review, is it a ILO standard or a management proactive approach to manage the work site, so that if it's ILO standard, somebody can be able to implement in his own company for the day-to-day activities?
Yeah, it is not a standard across the United States, but it is popular in some companies. Very few companies do it 3 times a day, but the meetings are intended to be very short. So maybe 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. We do the same thing at Boeing, where we manufacture airplanes. We meet at least once a day, every morning before the job starts for 5 minutes to talk about what work we're going to do today, what tools we might need, what hazards we might see. So it's not intended to be a long meeting. It's really intended to be very short with a manager or a supervisor and their small team to talk about what work they're going to do that day. And then the lunchtime and end of day meeting is again very short, just to make sure that the team is safe, the team has done everything that they need, and to make sure that there's no changes to the work schedule during the day. So it's not a common practice to do it 3 times, but it is very popular to do it at least once in the morning to make sure the employees know what their work is to be done for the day. Is that helpful?
Yes, sir. Very helpful, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
You're very welcome. I saw Daniel's hand raised. I don't know if he had to drop, but I thought I saw Daniel's
Okay,
hand.
I'm back online. Hello,
Great.
Tony.
Hello.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. This is Daniel from Warri, Nigeria. There was a question Ashok Galapati raised on the chat. I don't know if you can throw more light on it. Hello?
Yeah.
So there's a question on the chat box that Ashok raised about new IT technology. I don't know if you can throw more light on it.
Oh, yeah. Let me just see here. Hold on. So, one of the things that we have, I did see your question in the chat. One of the things, the two different things that where we use technology on a job site is for training. So to make sure that we have people's training information so that they can take little training. That's one thing. Another thing that we do in terms of technology with regards to computers, we use computers to determine what the work plan is supposed to be for the day. We have it for training. We have it for the hazards that people are going to use. Some of the technology that we have include, we really use technology for the most popular use of technology is to transfer something from what was on paper to what can be done on a laptop or on a tablet. So instead of having paper inspection forms or paper forms for training or paper forms for attendance at a meeting, much of that is then put on, is on a computer. One of the things where we use technology, again, I mentioned it for some of our vehicles, we use technology to determine if the vehicle is speeding or announcing that it's backing up. We use technology in those situations. One of the other things that is increasingly popular is that we use drones or the quadcopters, or again, I don't necessarily know how that translates or what terminology that might be, but the kind of the unmanned vehicles or the little again, drones, we use that for inspection of high places. So if there's a tower or a place that would require fall protection, we're using that type of technology to keep people, to keep people safe. So yeah, there's a variety of different types of technology, and I'll be, when I provide this information back to Dr. Oji, I can provide some additional types of technology that people are using in construction. I appreciate your compliment. Thank you. Angela, thank you very much. Abdullah, thank you. We are getting close to the time. I want to be respectful for people's time. Again, Saturday is the day for chores. And so it's time for everybody to get back home and get to your chores. But let's see here. Is there another question? Ashok, you're welcome. Maybe one more question. If anybody has a question, I'd be happy to answer. Otherwise, I'll provide my contact information and we can be in touch after the meeting.
Okay, Tony, this is Daniel once again.
Yes, go ahead, Daniel. Last question for you.
Okay, I just want to know, why is it that after all the engineering design, the architectural manpower and everything, why is it that when it comes to execution of any construction projects, the workers do take shortcuts, which actually leads to incident or accident? Why is it so?
We have that same question. That question is not unique to Nigeria. We see many things that create that challenge. Employees want to rush home. They are tired. They are thinking about something besides the work. The work might be too hard. One of the things that I think that we do in construction is we don't communicate all of the steps that an employee needs to take. And so sometimes they're not aware of what they must do. The other challenge, and I'll leave you with this, the other challenge, which is what was in that article that is available, is, and we see this even in manufacturing, is the right equipment is not available. The employees don't want to take shortcuts. The employees want to do things safely, but they can't find the right equipment. They can't find the right ladder. They can't find the right clothing. And so they know that they have to get the work done and they want to get it done the way it was designed, but the construction company hasn't provided the right equipment or materials or clothing to keep the employee safe. So sometimes it is the employee that takes a shortcut, but other times it's the employer or the construction company that hasn't provided the right equipment for the employees.
Okay, thank you very much for that. I appreciate you and thanks for your time.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mr. Tony. That's quite insightful and very informative. Just like what you said, a lot of people are asking for your contact. So please do well to just drop your email and any means of communication to you should in case anyone have one or two questions to ask you as regards construction safety. Once again, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Quite very interesting and very informative. It's our culture in ASSP to actually present a certificate of recognition to our participants who have made our time to give us one or two form of knowledge. So please, we appreciate you, and if you commiserate it with Nara, where you didn't collect anything. So hello, sorry, my network knocked me out. Can you confirm you can hear me now?
Yep, I can hear you loud and clear.
Oh, fantastic. Sorry for that network breach. Confirm you can, sorry, not this one.
Yeah, you were there. Almost.
All right. All right. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Thank you so much. So thank you once again. I would like to call on the President-elect, Dr. Ukandu. Please, if he's on call, please, can you do us the honor to present this certificate of recognition to Mr. Tony? All right. Can we have any representative from the ESCO, the ASSP Nigerian chapter ESCO? Mr. Festus or James, are you on call? Can you do us the honor to present this certificate?
Dr. Okandu.
Dr. Okandu is on call?
Yes, please.
Okay. All right. All right, Doctor, if you're on call, please, can you help us? Mr. Festus, I know you sent a message earlier. He's working
Mr. Festus
and might not be fully present. So maybe he's really on call, but he's really not close to his phone.
Thank you.
So
all right, that's fine.
Can you help us?
Yeah, thank you very much. We really want to appreciate.
Okay, please, Mr. Festus, please go ahead, please.
Okay, can you hear me, please?
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much for this all-important webinar for.
Loud and clear, please go ahead. 1 minute.
Which is on construction safety. And on behalf of the executives, the president of American Society of Safety Professionals Nigerian chapter, the executives, and all the members, we really want to appreciate you, Tony Militello, for obliging us to give us some wealth of experience. And if you've seen through the chat box, you attest to it that a lot of people actually were very impressed with this presentation. We want to thank you very much. And our only two way of showing thank you is this recognition of certificate of recognition. So we want to thank you very much for being part of this webinar and sharing your wealth of knowledge. Thank you very much. And we want to thank you that subsequent times will oblige us even to be part of subsequent ones. Thank you very much. On behalf of every one of us, we say thank you.
My pleasure. It was a great, and I'm glad that Tom allowed us to do this. And again, I will connect with Dr. Oji to make sure that the information is provided. And I'm happy to answer any questions after today's webinar. So thank you very much to the group there, the ASSP chapter, and have a great Saturday. Get home to your chores, and God bless you.
Thank you, Mr. Tony. So on this note, just be well assured that this certificate will be sent to you via the secretariat to your email. We have your email. We'll send it across to you. Once again, just like what my colleague, Mr. Festus said, we might be calling on you anytime. Please do oblige us to give us that opportunity to learn from you again. So please, once again, if you are not speaking, please unmute your mic. There's so much interference on the background. On this point, at this point in time, I would like to call on the president to give us the closing remark and also make any announcement to us. We have close to 41 people on this call, so it's an opportunity to give any announcement that the association is intending to share to our members. So, President, over to you for the closing remark and any other announcements, please.
All right. Thank you, Coordinator Sec. We can attest to this today. You know, at least this is the first time I can say that I attended most of the presentation with regard to construction safety, but I have never had much attention and also to grab a lot than this one that Tony has presented today. It was really remarkable and we really appreciate. And also I would like to extend my still appreciation to Tom Kramer for choosing out those professionals, certified professionals to give us all these webinars since we have started. This is the fourth one, and we look forward to many before our tenure lapses. Thank you and God bless. And also at the same time, I would like to inform us that this association is very, very important, that we urge people, while we are sharing knowledge to public, is for us to grab a lot of members so that they will have to make themselves acquainted with the global trend with regard to safety and everything. And safety is for everyone. So anybody that join, we invite you for this. It's not for our own, it's for you to equip yourself, considering the situation we have found in ourselves, the insecurity, the lackadaisical approach to safety with regard to various industries and even at our home. So it deems us necessary to share knowledge and fact it within ourselves and also members. And most important thing, if you can join this association, you will have a lot to learn variously globally. So I urge each and every one of us and people that have joined to make time and register with the ASSP Nigerian chapter. And globally, you have to have a lot of things to enjoy. Thank you. And also, we are having on the 30th of this month, our WISE having their webinar in Lagos, physical and virtual. So I urge each and members to find time to join. And also we have our members that are normally registered, and if after our PGC now, those that have not got their certificate and everything, that they should reach out to our secretariat, who send it to secretariat so that people that have not collected can be able to get it there. Thank you, and I wish each and every one of us happy weekend. And for Muslim brothers that are fasting, I say Ramadan Kareem to all of you. And special thanks to Mr. Ashok Galafati and any other person that came in from far away to join this webinar. We remain grateful to each and every one of us. My ESCO, I say congratulations and thank you. God bless you as you are all back to your various destinations. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, President. I really appreciate that. Please, colleagues, just a form of informal way of appreciating ourselves. Please, can we unmute our videos and let's just take a screenshot of all the participants, please? Please, can we just unmute ourselves, please? Yeah, let's take a screenshot. Right. Okay. Thank you. Still saying a lot of people are still muted. All right, please unmute. Let's see your beautiful and handsome faces. Beautiful smiles. I can see. All right. Thank you so much. This is really a rare privilege. Thank you so much. So once again, do have a wonderful weekend. God bless you. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Everyone, well done.
Happy weekend.
Bye. Thank you.
Well done, Sek. Well done, everyone. Yeah.
Thank you.
A good one. Thank you all.
Go. That's why I took water. You need to